In this video, I'm going to teach you how to loop, and that looks like this. Now, looping, one of the most important things about learning this trick is making sure you have the right yo-yo. It's so important, we actually made a video called Making the Perfect Yo-Yo to help you sort that out. But the main things is that you want to have a yo-yo with a narrow shape that responds immediately when you pull it. And that's because, obviously, with looping, the yo-yo is going to be constantly going out and coming back to your hand. Without a yo-yo that's like that, it's almost impossible to learn this trick. Now, the first thing that you want to know with looping is that it starts with a forward toss. And so that just looks like this. We have another video that teaches you how to do that. But if you don't already know how to do that, it's really simple. All you're going to do is swing your yo-yo hand right by your side with your the top of your hand facing forward. And you're just going to let the yo-yo go halfway through. And then when the yo-yo gets to the end of the string, turn your hand over to catch it. And it's pretty straightforward. If you're having trouble, definitely check that other video out as well. But with looping, what's going to happen is as the yo-yo comes back to you, you are going to throw the yo-yo back out again without catching it. And so the motion starts as the yo-yo is coming back to you. It probably starts when the yo-yo is about this far away from your hand. And all you're doing with your yo-yo hand is you are just going to bend your fingers in and then flick your hand back out just like this. And the real secret to looping is that you want to keep a lot of tension on the string, and so this motion actually does that. Now, what you might not anticipate at first is you might actually just think that the looping motion is just throwing the yo-yo back out again, because that is what's happening. But the key to really making it work is to start pulling the yo-yo in as it's on its way back, and that's why the motion starts by bringing your hand in and then throwing it back out. When you bring your hand in, you're actually pulling on the yo-yo, accelerating it, and you want to accelerate it consistently all the way from above your hand until it exits beneath your hand. And I cannot express how crucial that is when getting your perfect loop, is to have that constant tension on the string. Now, the other thing that you might not expect if you have tried looping before is that the basic loop doesn't actually happen on the outside of your wrist. It happens on the inside of your wrist, just like this. And honestly, that can be a little bit scary at first because you're asking the yo-yo to come right here and then go right back out. And if you're not careful or if you're not thinking about it too much, the yo-yo can come and hit your chest, it can hit your shoulder. If you're really not paying attention, it can hit your face. Usually that doesn't happen. If you think about it, if you don't do anything, if you just throw the yo-yo out and then let it drop down, then the yo-yo is going to go straight down. And so it's part of that pulling back motion and then throwing it forward again. That's the key to getting this trick to work. And you can see how close it gets to me. It's actually not super close, but if I do loops that are big enough, then you can see they start to get closer and they'll start to hit my chest just a little bit. And that's one of those indicators that you can use to determine, are you starting your motion a little bit too early or too late? If you're starting too late, then the yo-yo is just going to drop down like this. If you're starting your motion too early, then the loops will be so big they'll start to hit you. And so that's something that you really need to figure out, is how are you going to time the loop so that you can get the motion consistently. And you can see this is about how close you want it to your body. You can see that it's barely even going back to my elbow. That's how tight I'm keeping these loops. Now, another thing that you want to keep in mind, you can see I'm adjusting my string tension here. And every time you do an inside loop with your yo-yo hand, the string is going to get a little bit looser. And with your opposite hand, your string is going to get a little bit tighter. Now you can correct that either with an inside sidewinder. You can do it the same way on each hand to the inside of your body, or you can do an outside UFO that will also adjust the string. We have another video about managing your string tension that you can look at if that's giving you trouble as well, which it definitely will when you're learning how to loop, because every single time you loop, the yo-yo actually flips over as it passes by your arm right here. And that causes the yo-yo to get looser and looser. Again, if you're right-handed, tighter and tighter if you're left-handed. So you do want to kind of work in, maybe count a certain number of loops, or you can just look at the string. If it's starting to get a little bit too loose, then you just do that inside sidewinder and you're good to go. Now, another thing that you want to pay attention to as you're doing your loops is the angle that the yo-yo is at. And so if I were to just loop at the camera right here, you can see that once I've got control of my loops, it's always angled just about 30 degrees or so, maybe 45, but it's not sitting straight up and down. It's always angled off to the outside just a little bit. Now, because this is what you want when you're looping, a lot of people want to know, well, how do I get it to angle? And I don't know anybody who's come up with a really good explanation of exactly what you need to do to get that to happen. And so instead of thinking about changing your technique in order to make that specific thing happen, take it more as an indicator that your technique is getting better. The better your technique gets, the more the yo-yo is going to lock into that 30-degree angle as you're doing your loops. And if you don't have the yo-yo at that angle, then you still need to start making adjustments. You know, you can try turn your hand a little bit more to the outside as you do your loops, or a little bit more to the inside. Obviously, this is too much and this is too much, but there might be a small adjustment that you need to make. You can also start your loops a little bit earlier or later to see if that helps a little bit. There's all sorts of small adjustments that you can make that will affect the way that your yo-yo loops. And one of the indicators that you're getting it right is that the yo-yo is going to line up at that 30 degrees angle, and that helps you keep it under control, but also tells you that you're doing it the right way. So the last thing that you want to think about when you're looping is that pretty much all the motion is coming out of your wrist. And that actually makes sense because your wrist can move and snap so fast. That's how you can quickly accelerate the yo-yo both towards you and then away from you without a really large motion. And that way you can do your loops very quickly. Again, when you're first getting started, you might be tempted to kind of do like a whole arm motion in order to get the yo-yo to do the right thing. It's not that that can't work, but the smaller, the more compact your motion is, the better you will be able to get at looping. And this is actually good technique for every single type of loop, is to make your motion as small as possible. So that's true of hop the fence. You can see I'm using that same wrist action where I'm coming in and then accelerating it over my hand. It's also true for punching bags. We're going to get into all these different types of loops, outside loops, everything. All the loops work exactly the same way, but you want to make that motion as compact as possible. For the inside loop, what that means is you kind of keep the rest of your arm pretty much still. It's not entirely still, but pretty much still. And then just depend on that acceleration of the pulling of the yo-yo in towards you and then throwing it out. And that adds so much speed every time that it will carry it all the way through as you do it. Now, the thing with loops is everything is about repetition and then more repetition on top of that. So like I said at the beginning of this video, get a good yo-yo, make sure that it's set up right, make sure your string length is set up right, which we also talk about in the Making of the Perfect Yo-Yo video. Once you have all of those things in place, then all you need to do is just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. Don't feel like you have to get 100 at a time. I think the best way to approach it is, why not try to just get one? And then once you feel comfortable getting one and you're hitting that most of the time, then try for 2, then 3, and then 10, and so on. And eventually you'll be able to hit as many as you can possibly hit before your string gets so twisted that the yo-yo just won't loop anymore at all. And then once you've gotten that good, obviously you want to teach it to your other hand so that you can start doing two-handed tricks as well, because that's where two-handed yo-yoing or looping yo-yoing gets really exciting. So get your yo-yo, put in the time, and before you know it, you'll be throwing down 100, 200, 300, even more loops than that.